Hey guys, it's Steve here and Marcel with me, and we're doing another bat rep. This is our first time we've done a bat rep straight after the game, so We're here in our club room, which is very echoey, and there's some young people enjoying themselves in the background as well, so you might be able to hear that. Bloody young people. So we agreed that we would bring our heavy spam lists to the club this week and match them up against each other. So getting straight into it, so Marcel's list looks like this.
Yes, my list is my usual Doomshaper list, and it's not a heavy spam because trolls are too expensive to spam. It's the usual stuff with Rug and Mark, the two characters, the Diatrol Mauler, Earthborn Diatrol, Exer, Bouncer, group of whelps, and a Min Creel Stone with unit attachment.
Yeah, and I had Nemo 1, same list I've been playing the last couple of games, so it's Nemo 1 with a Squire, and then his battle group is Dynamo and two Hammersmiths, and a Ironclad and a Defender. And then I've got Jakes with the Centurion attached. Oh, sorry, I forgot about the Lancer as well. The Lancer in Nemo's battle group. Jakes with the Centurion and the Junior with the Firefly and Strangeways. And that's it. And you run the roll-off. So we played this scenario, which is number 4, I guess. I can't remember the name of it, though.
Don't know either.
Yeah.
I won the roll-off. I wanted to go first because I just want some time to fuel my stone before we meet somewhere in the middle to exchange heavies.
So we know that this is going to be just about that center zone.
Yeah.
Because we're just heavy spam. You've got one unit.
Yeah, I have one unit.
So that's a little bit of an advantage. But it's not a unit that wants to be up the front, really.
No, and it doesn't want to be a unit that's far away from the other stuff because it's the Creel Stone. I want to be just within my army. And to contest both round zones, I would need to split up the Creel Stone and Doomshaper, and I definitely do not want to do that. So on deployment, I skewed a little bit to the right, which means the right zone in the picture, so my right, left in the picture, the right zone in the picture will be practically dead because Steve would need to move his caster there, and then we would have a standoff between the two zones. Yeah. I put the Earthborn on the right side here in the picture because I wanted to charge him through the rubble on Steve's side. If he doesn't move forward fast enough. And the other stuff just goes around Doomshaper, so I can give out my Anima.
Yeah, okay. And so I got to choose the side, so I chose the side with the bigger forest out of the two. I also had a wall and a trench on my side, but they didn't really feature in the game. They're not really... the only reason I want a wall or a trench is to put Nemo in, and he needs to be more close to the centre of the board for that. So my plan was just to put him behind the larger forest that you can see. So, so that's why I took that side. The other side's got a forest and the hill, and this side's got a forest and some rubble. So, yeah. I actually set up the terrain for this according to the, quadrant method. And it actually looks pretty spread out, which is kind of annoying. So I chose that side, and I think it was probably the right side to choose just because Nemo had that cover that he needs. And the unfortunate part of this is that I have to kind of fit my entire battle group through a gap between the forest and the rubble. So obviously I'm just deploying just to get that Centurion up front and the Hammersmiths on either side. And actually that's all I could fit through that gap. The gap was actually smaller than 3 heavies side by side. So I thought the rubble I could probably park Dynamo and the Defender in there to be able to shoot and have a little bit of protection against any of your stuff that doesn't have Pathfinder. And the Ironclad's just over far on the left, just to skirt around the outside of the forest. He's fairly independent, I guess. He's one of the faster jacks, so yeah, that's it really. I really wanted to see what Marcel was going to do with his first turn before I did anything else. So here's what the first turn for you looked like.
Yeah, first turn on Doomshaper is usually the same for me. I pay 3 for Wild Aggression, which goes on Malk this time, because I really want to get one of the crit smites off on one of those warjacks. And everything just runs up, and for Fury go into the stone. That's basically it.
Yeah, so this game's pretty tactical because it's all about threat ranges. So what I can do, I had the choice here. I could put the Centurion up inside of your inside of your trample to engage range, because he couldn't be charged. So it would cost all of your guys lots of focus and their initial attacks to get to him. So I was either able to do that or just put everything outside of your charge range. And I decided that's what to do because I would still have good angles to attack anything that went into the zone on the following turn. So I decided to be quite cautious. I ran everything, but none of it went at its full distance. Even the Ironclad on the far left is trying to stay out of charge range, so out of that 14-inch range of the Mauler. But apart from that, just got the Centurion in the middle, no charge up on him, and then exactly what I just described, the Hammersmiths flanking him, and everything else just lined up behind. So I think the fact that I was squeezing my battle group through that gap was something that defined the game quite a lot. That restriction of movement meant that I needed to use some locomotion and shenanigans to get, because I don't have any Pathfinder, so I would have to, in order to set up some charges, I would have to use locomotion fairly creatively. If I'd gone on the other side, then I would have had a hill there, and then I wouldn't have had much of a problem just lining everything up, ready to attack on the next turn. So at this point, I kind of realised that it was already too late, but I should have probably chose the other side. There was enough of a forest on the other side for Nemo to hide behind anyway, and he actually would have had an even easier time contesting the circle zone if it came to it. So there's that, but I feel confident because I know that you can't get to me on your turn, but I will be able to get to whatever you put up front on my turn. So I feel confident that it's going well so far. So here's what you did.
Yeah, I had to choose which one of my beasts to sacrifice, because could either stay out of Steve's threat ranges, which means he could just swarm the zone and start scoring, which would put me on a countdown, or I could move something in because I couldn't reach him. He stayed outside of all of my ranges.
That's another thing that's worth mentioning is I've got more heavies.
Yeah.
And almost all of our heavies of both sides are all capable of killing one of the heavy from the other side.
Correct.
So Marcel's got the threat range advantage, but
Yes.
I've got shooting that outranges that, which means I would be able to chisel away a little bit. But I can also afford to lose 2 heavies before you even count the peace trade total.
Yes.
So I should have been leveraging that a bit more, I think.
I think your cheapest heavies, the Hammersmiths, are at 12 points, I think.
Yeah.
And my cheapest ones are at 15, and it goes up to 21. Even my lights cost 9 and 10 points, so I'm down on pieces to trade.
So what I should be doing is I should be using 1 Jack to kill 1 beast, and then the game's tied up, then that's it.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do about it. Well, we'll see how that went anyway.
Yeah, what I did is I chose Mark to die and put him into, I think, 9 inches of Nemo and used his animus pain suppression.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I hoped he wouldn't be able to move Nemo so easily and would need to pay more for all of his upkeeps and spells and so on. And then I put everything else into position to charge whatever tries to kill Rug. Mm-hmm. Also, Rug still has wild aggression on him, which means everything that charges him can get a boosted retaliatory strike, and if that strike crits, then it will be slammed d6 inches away. So I hope he will charge in with whatever deals the most damage first, and then I can just slam that away, and he is getting some problems killing Mike with the rest of his stuff.
Yeah, so I've got Mulg sitting in front of me within charge range of 4 or 5 jacks, and so I know that he's going to die this turn, and I spent quite a lot of time thinking about how to optimize the turn, and I was actually a bit too focused on Mulg, so I knew that he had to go down, but I thought, okay, so I'll soften him up with Dynamo first, and then I'll prepare to charge in with the Centurion, and he'll soften him up a bit more, and then I'll finish him off with the Hammersmith. And I was even considering bringing the Ironclad round to knock him down, which actually turns out would have been an excellent idea, because it would have stopped his retaliatory strike. So in general, I was being very inefficient about worrying about killing Mulg, and I completely ignored everything else. So in actual fact, Roke, and the Earthborn are all chargeable by heavies, and I would still have 2 heavies to spare to take down 3 heavies, in fact, to take down Mulg if I wanted. This is all with hindsight now. This is not what I did at all. So what I actually did was I shot Mulg with Dynamo to try and soften him up, and then you immediately shield guarded onto your Axer. No, Bouncer. So that ended that. I don't even know if I did any damage to the Bouncer.
3 boxes.
So that was 4 focus down the toilet. And then I charged in with the Centurion. He had 3 focus on him. And then immediately the retaliatory strike slammed him back. So that was another 3 focus down the toilet. So we're down to 7 pointless focus so far. Then I had a stack of 4 focus on one of the Hammersmiths. So he charged in and he killed Mulg very easily. And had 2 focus left at the end, so that's 9 focus I haven't used properly yet. Yes. Although he did have Lightning Shroud on him, and I'm still in 2 minds about whether it was a safe bet that he would have actually killed him. So I think Lightning Shroud is probably a focus well spent there. And then because the Ironclad was easily out-threatened by the Mauler, then I tried to move him across the forest. Which again was stupid because I was still in charge range of him, so that didn't help at all. What else? And then I had a Hammersmith sitting here on 2 focus that didn't actually bother activating that turn. All he did was shuffle slightly to and still sit in the threat ranges of your heavies. And Dynamo, and the defender took a shot at the Creelstone and didn't kill it. So, and I feated as well. Right. That was also my feat turn, so I moved Nemo up. No, my feat turn was the turn before. Right. It must have been. So I didn't mention that, but I did some damage to all of the beasts.
All of the beasts got 3 to 4 damage, I think, which were healed the next round with Psychosurgery.
But going into the game, I knew that my feat wasn't going to be doing anything. Yes. Had that have been a Warjack for each one, that would have been all of them disrupted. So against Kador, nice. But So it was a pretty ineffective turn. I killed Mulg, which is what I was focusing on doing, but I was way too focused on that. And what I've ended up with is a Hammersmith way up in the zone in charge range of everything. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 heavies that are all chargeable by your heavies in this round. So, we'll see what happens on the next turn.
Yeah, on my next turn, quite a lot of things exploded. This was my feat turn. I moved up the stone first, put up the aura, of course, and chose stone strength with a unit attachment to get +1 strength to all of my beasts. I put Rage out with Doomshaper to the Mauler, to the Bouncer, I think, and also to Rug. And the Exer stays with Doomshaper, so I still have a transfer target in case he kills everything in front. And then I'm starting with the Mauler.
So this turn is what your list is designed to do.
Yes.
So you've got to do the full works.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is what my list should do. Everything is allowed to charge for free. So I had a lot of boosted charge attacks without needing to spend any fury. The Mauler goes in and hits the Hammersmith twice, which triggers chain attack, grab and smash. So I throw him at the Ironclad, and both are knocked down. And I think I need to get 1 additional attack to kill the Hammersmith.
So he was still in range after throwing him.
Yeah, because I charged exactly between the 2, so I wouldn't need to move to get him after I throw him. And after I threw him, I'm allowed to move 1 inch because of the Field Marshal overtake from Doomshaper. So I'm moving 1 inch and I'm in range of the Ironclad, and I kill that one as well. After that, I have my Mauler maxed out, but 2 heavies killed, which is okay for him. Then I'm charging in my Bouncer, because I decided he doesn't have enough shooting near Doomshaper to warrant the bouncer in the back, and he's actually quite a good piece to trade if you don't need the shield guard. He also has rage up and is in range of the stone, so he goes to power 16, which is pretty good for a light, and he starts hitting on the second Hammersmith. I think he takes away a third of his boxes. Then Röck goes in. He's charging the Hammersmith because he's not allowed to charge the Centurion. Kills the Hammersmith with, I think, his initial attacks. He doesn't even need any more because he's at power 22 at the moment. And then
He kills him really, like 2 attacks, I think.
Yeah, 2 attacks.
You were rolling very well. Just like to
yes,
say that.
I had some pretty good rolls on that. And then I'm moving 1 inch over to the Hammersmith, not Hammersmith, to the Centurion, and I missed my free attack. I could have done a Berserk attack at that point, but okay. I didn't. I just paid more fury to also kill the Centurion. And the last one, the Earthborn, I actually didn't really find a good place to land him because everything where he could engage the ranged jacks would have been out of range of Doomshaper, so I wasn't able to buy anything. So I'm just charging him far to the right side to engage the lightning jack. How is he called?
Firefly.
No, not the Firefly, the big one.
Dynamo,
right. It's late, sorry. To engage Dynamo, I'm doing my 2 initial attacks and I'm not able to buy anything. But Dynamo is engaged, which is the important thing. Yes, then I pass turn, and as I'm controlling the middle zone, just with the Mauler, I'm scoring 1 point.
Yeah. So, that was a pretty game-deciding turn, really. Well, actually, my turn was the game-deciding one because of all the mistakes. So I fell for all of your defensive tech, and it was very inefficient. So here I'm looking at, 3 heavies? I've got 2 left, including Dynamo. So I know that Dynamo can do some pretty nasty damage with his melee weapon and a full stack of focus and Lightning Shroud. So that's what I did. I put a Lightning Shroud on him. Then I used the Defender to walk over and take the Earthborn down to free up Dynamo to be able to charge across and engage both Roke and the Bouncer.
Yes.
And he managed to kill Roke. Didn't kill the Bouncer. The Bouncer just didn't want to die this whole game. Then it looks like I got my Firefly and Lancer. I think they got a ton of focus. Yeah, so this is a cool thing about this list is that if you're careful, then you can just, even though your jacks are dying, you can run what's left at just a crazy amount of focus.
Yes.
It's great. So I had, I think, almost a full stack of focus on both the Firefly and the Lancer. I think Lancer had slightly less. To try and take down the Bouncer, but even when I hit, then the damage was dice -8, even on their good weapons, so didn't work that out very well.
The Bouncer's pretty hard to kill. He's at armor 21 under the stone, so
yeah,
the light one has problems with that.
I would have expected my armor 24 Centurion to be hard to kill, but that wasn't a problem at all. But I needed ideally what I should have been doing is I should have been attacking Roke with the Firefly and Lancer, and Dynamo should have been concentrating on the Bouncer. But at this point, I'm really just trying to slow down your win, really, because I just don't have enough. I've got enough to defend Nemo here, but I don't have enough to get across onto the scenario. So I put the Squire up just to stop you from scoring on my turn. Put up my solos in the way to stop the Mauler just sort of walking up to Nemo and killing him casually. My two Journeyman Warcasters both took some shots and did some damage, I think. Nothing really that significant. But yeah, even though I sort of got my own back and killed 2 of your heavies, I don't have enough position or enough dudes to win on attrition or on scenario at this point. So yeah, so just a case of mopping up for you.
Yeah, I stay on 1 point. Steve is also on 1 point. I think he scored in the beginning.
Yeah.
I'm not able to score because of that damn squire that was sitting in the forest.
Otherwise, the game would already be over, wouldn't it?
No, we are tied at the moment.
No, you would have. I got 1 point. You would have scored. You had 1 point anyway, and then you would have scored 2 on my turn, which would have put you on.
No, I would have scored 1 because I only have.
The Creel Stone wasn't in at that point.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, he took away the the surprise. I pop the aura of the Creel Stone again and run the Creel Stone over to the round zone, because that's great with the Creel Stone. It's not a spell and it's not a star action. It's any time during the turn, so I can just run afterwards. So I'm now controlling that zone. The Mauler goes in on Dynamo.
Lancer or
on Dynamo.
Oh, Dynamo. Yeah, he killed Dynamo first.
He killed Dynamo.
That's priority because Dynamo is very dangerous.
Dynamo would have tried an assassination next round, I think, if I didn't kill him. And I'm a little bit sad because the Mauler actually kills him in 2 strikes, and I wanted to trigger Grab and Smash again and throw him at something, either at Nemo or at the defender, or but he just goes down in 2 strikes, and I'm sitting there on 5 Fury that I can still spend. So I'm just putting up Rage onto the Bouncer, and the Bouncer does a little bit of work on the Light Warjacks, not that much. The Exer from behind charges in and kills the Squire. So I'm now controlling 2 zones, and I go up to 3 points. Yeah, and now I'm expecting that at least my Bouncer might die, or my Mauler, depending on what Steve would prioritize.
Yeah, so I've got the chance to take something down with the defender. So I could locomotion him out the way of the terrain there and still have him on a stack of 4 focus and lightning shroud him. So that's what I do. And he charges in and completely fails to kill the Mauler. I think I missed
1 attack.
At least 1 attack, and my damage rolls weren't good enough to take him down, unfortunately. So that was it pretty much, because I couldn't contest anything on the scenario. The Firefly and the Lancer didn't do anything to the Bouncer, and I just didn't have anything left really. Oh, I strange way sprayed the Creel Stone and took out one of your guys and made you tough and fall over on the actual stone itself. So that was the end really, because at that point I couldn't stop you from scoring on my turn another 2 points, and then you automatically win because you just score those 2 points again on your turn, and then that would put you up to 7 points.
7 points, and
ahead
you
of
had
one,
and that would have been a win either way, even if we didn't play the weird rules that we played in the last tournament with 5 points lead to win.
So we'll see what the final version of Steamroller looks like, but it looks like it'll just be 5 points to win. So unfortunately, I certainly learned a lot on this game. I learned that I still need a lot more practice with this list, and I also learned that I need to be very careful about terrain. So I'm used to being careful with terrain so I can choose the best defensive terrain. But I need to, with this list, because I have Warjacks, heavies, and deceleration, I don't need to worry as much about shooting. And I will need to worry more about accessibility. So I will, certainly in an attrition matchup with melee stuff, then I will be looking at more, having more of the board available to me rather than hiding behind things. And then, specifically in this matchup, if we ever get to play it again at some point in the future, then I will be hopefully a lot more practiced with the list, and I will be levering my advantages a lot more, because I think it's a matchup that's very winnable for Nemo, despite the fact he hasn't really got a feat. I think being 2 heavies up on the peace trade at the beginning without doing anything, and the fact that I can the good deployment that I've got for speed, getting up the board into the zones and all that kind of things. I think I've got enough there to leverage the game if I'm a bit more careful in the future.
Yeah, the 12-inch deployment zone he has when he goes second is pretty good. I know that from Borka, and you're already almost in your zones.
Yeah.
The movement shenanigans from, how's that spell called? Locomotion are hard to calculate, because on every heavy you need to calculate with 3 extra inches of movement, and if you don't, and if you just put your heavies up front, say okay, you can't locomote everything, then Nemo can choose what will die.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of focus he gives out is
crazy.
Yeah,
like locomotion is
stupid.
genuine. Like normally, I think you got locomotion on Kane 3, and no one uses it because it's so expensive. But on Nemo 1, he's just got. I just do whatever I want.
Yeah.
So it's really nice. And if you didn't have the advantage of the threat ranges, then I should have dominated that matchup.
Yes. If I hadn't been able to threat 14, 15, 16 inches with my guys under feet, then he could have just moved into the zone and said, okay, you can kill 1 or 2 of mine, I don't care, because I have enough of them, because they are way too cheap. And Nemo can load up each one of them like it is a war beast.
Yeah.
And doesn't need to care about frenzying, and it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it's. I think it's a list. I don't feel like the list sort of let me down at all. I still like it. I always consider that I could swap out the Centurion and Dynamo and the Defender, 3 heavies, and I could put in another 4 of the cheap melee heavies. So I could be running at like 7 heavies and 2 lights, and I think Nemo would still be able to run that list pretty well. But I don't want to give up Dynamo because he's so dangerous, and I don't want to give up the Centurion because when someone is out-threatening you, he's very valuable in that sense. And the Defender's just nice as a sidekick for Dynamo. So I think the list is going to stay as it is. Practice.
Yeah, I could also go up to 5 heavies in my list, but that would mean I need to drop Ruck and play this in Power of Dunya theme. And I think Ruck and Doomshaper are just too funny. Because if I lose the list chicken in a tournament and the other side is playing lots and lots of infantry, then I still have an answer for that, which I wouldn't if I would move Ruck out and put in, I don't know, a Mauler and another Earthborn. I think in this case it's really worth playing out of theme to have the additional flexibility.
Yeah, cool. I think we need to stop because we've been going for ages.
Yeah,
so
we have.
Good game, and we'll see you on the next one.
Bye.